One of the things that you need to consider when putting together your online course is exactly how you want to set it up for your students to interact with you and your course material while they're participating. There are several different ways to look at this and think about this and consider. And in the next 4 videos, we're going to look at 4 different ways to sort of guide your thinking on how you can establish your courses in an online space. These are not the only ways that you can organize your courses, but they provide some consistency, which is extremely important. And as you go through these next series of videos, you may see parts of each of these different models that you can combine together into your class. Let's take a look at our very first model. This one is the project by project model. And when you put together your class, you want to make sure that you have a introductory module that explains to the students exactly what is going to be happening in your course, how they can get to be successful in your course, tools they may need, references to accessibility items that are available through your school or department, a variety of things that sort of introduce the student to your course. Across all the different models, the introductory module is pretty consistent. You want to introduce your course, what it is, maybe choose the course description from the course catalog, anything that you want to add about that, beginning intro to course video, which establishes a human element to your course. You want to make sure that you include your syllabus, and it's always a really good idea to work your syllabus up in a Word document and then copy and paste that into D2L so that it scales. The syllabus will scale as a student looks on a computer or on a mobile device or on a tablet. There may need to be a syllabus quiz that you want to have your students participate in, or even an introduction discussion board prompt. That's really important. It's a way for students to get to know you and each other. And it could be just a really lighthearted prompt, like prompts I've used in the past. What makes you happy? Or name one thing you're concerned about with this course, name your favorite dessert, and name a favorite vacation spot. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be? So just different things like that to help students be relaxed and to share a little bit of information about themselves, just like you would do in your face-to-face courses. Also, be sure to include a Help Me discussion board. The Help Me discussion board is critical because in your face-to-face classes, students can raise hands. That's a visual cue to the rest of the class that there's a question or an answer that's going to be provided. We don't have that same visual cue in an online space, so by creating a Help Me discussion board, you provide a place where students can virtually raise their hands. And also put in an announcement that first week just to get students into the habit of checking those announcements, and maybe even in that first announcement, remind students, hey, set some alarms on your phone to check into your online course on regular occurring times of the week. Then for the project part, we're going to dive in, and this is an example of how your first project might look. You'll have a project overview. You would walk your students in a video, you would walk them through the necessary elements of the project, maybe what you're looking for out of it. You'd give them whatever background information they may need to make sure that they have the tools to be successful in the development of this project. And then you're going to introduce them to the course content necessary for completing that project, however you choose to do that. It could be a PowerPoint or short tutorial video, but that would be separate than the project overview. Make sure that you have your PowerPoint files available for your students to look at because, again, they're not there with you in a face-to-face environment and they may need some time to digest those different things. You can save those PowerPoint files as a PDF as well. Have a place where your students can submit their proposal guidelines and what you're looking for when they do that, so provide a rubric for them so that they can see exactly what it is that's expected of them. Then have a discussion board where students can participate by sharing what that project is that they're looking at, how they're going to develop it, and then have them interact with each other in that space, providing a critique of their peers' work. And then a weekly reminder, hey, these are the key things coming up, and you can set that out as an announcement. And so that's sort of your first look. We're introducing the project. We're going to have the students work together on some things. And as you are developing this week 1 project, Consider all those things that you do in your face-to-face course. You're looking for eye contact. You're looking for body language. You're looking for questions from students. You're trying to do some very minimal formative assessment. Are the students understanding what I'm saying? By designing your introductory week to the project in this fashion, you still are offering a lot of those same things that you use in your face-to-face courses. We have the discussion board where you can get some formative feedback. What are your students thinking? You know where they need to go in the end. You can participate and nudge your students back in their lane if they start to move out of that. You're providing the content for them in the form of PowerPoint, and you know where your students are going to struggle too. So maybe in your PowerPoint you could help remind them, hey, this particular concept is difficult and you're going to struggle here. Hang in there and ask questions if you've got them. Week 2, 3, and 4, or 2, 3, 4, and 5, or just 2 and 3, or however you need to set it up to best work for your course, now becomes the work of the project. So you're going to have each week, make sure that you provide a video that summarizes key information from the previous week, or highlights good things that students have submitted to you from the previous week, or just in general is like a check on the students. This is where we're at, this is where we should be, this is what I want to see from you, this is what I like, this is what needs to be improved, and you can share that information with them. Continue to utilize a project development feedback discussion board. So as students are working on their projects, they're putting that information into a discussion board, and their colleagues, their peers, are providing feedback, and you can as well. And then make sure that you get an assignment for that project implementation. Now, what's that going to look like? What's that project going to be? How's it going to be graded? We've already shared the rubric with them so they know what's expected. And then again, a series of reminders about the things that are coming up or going on or happening inside your course. Week 5 and 6, then, we wrap up this first project. Again, you provide a video that summarizes key information, things that you've seen and liked and need to be improved. You have a place where they can go ahead and submit their final project. And then you have a project report and reflection discussion board. A lot of times when students and us as educators reflect on what we're doing, we grow the most. So provide that same opportunity for your students, and then again, reminders for anything that's coming up, going on, happening, occurring in your course. So that's sort of how this project could look. And again, as the instructor, you have all kinds of freedom to determine how long these projects need to take, from just a few weeks to an entire semester. If your class calls for several projects, then we would dive right into the next project by revisiting that week 1 of introducing a project setup, and it can be very, very similar. Now, when you're putting together your course project by project, you want to make sure that you are using consistency here. Students need the consistency. The activity that you use can change. The discussion prompt you use can change. A lot of things that you use inside your course need to change every week based on what the students are learning. However, what type of learning the students are getting needs to be fairly consistent so that the students know what the expectation is, where to go to get that information, and when things are going to be turned in. So, for example, if you need your students to submit one piece of work or content-related thing on Wednesday, make it every Wednesday during the duration of the project. And if they need to submit a second piece by Saturday at midnight, make it every Saturday at midnight. That second piece of information or whatever needs to be submitted. Be very consistent in those due dates so that your students don't go roaring through those unaware that maybe they missed a deadline. Make sure also that you're participating in your discussion boards with your students, that you're providing feedback as necessary. You don't have to respond to every single post that your students make, but you want them to know that you're watching them, that you're paying attention to what's going on, and that you're going to provide a nudge, or you're going to provide some discussion prompt or some pushback or something somewhere along the way. So make sure that you've set some reminders for yourself as well to get in there and check out what's going on in your course. So that's how this project by project model could look. This is not the only way it could look, and you can adjust any of these things to suit your particular course's needs, but be consistent. And think about the things that you do in your face-to-face class. You check for understanding, your low-stakes formative assessment, your high-stakes summative assessment. All those things should be visible here in your online space as well.